everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sumedha, and today I have a different kind of video for you because I really like watching YouTube videos where people are either journaling or reading and they have a voiceover where they're just chatting with the viewers, and it feels really comfortable and it's kind of like you're hanging out with them, right? Because it's a casual chat, and I really wanted to kind of imitate that and do something of my own. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to be doing some digital art, which you can see on the screen. And while that's happening, I'm going to be chatting with you like this. So, yeah, grab a cup of coffee or tea or whatever you prefer and settle down. Today, I'm imitating this art on Pinterest. Okay, so right now, I'm new at digital art. Okay, I used to draw before, which I kind of gave up in like 12th grade because I started blogging and that took over my life. I blog all the time. I mean, I need to stop, right? So one of my goals this year was actually to find new hobbies besides blogging, because that's all I do and I don't want myself to be only stuck to that, right? Because what's the point only having one hobby? At least that's my thing. So I was like, this year, especially since I'm graduating, and I did graduate a month back, so I do have more free time. So I wanted to find new hobbies and try new things and not just put all of my time in one bucket. And digital art is one of the new hobbies that I'm trying. I got a graphic tablet recently. Well, it's my mom's and she barely uses it, so I just claimed it for my own most of the time. And I'm learning to do digital art on it, but since I'm just starting out and I don't know my style, I don't have the hand-to-eye coordination. What I'm doing right now is looking at Pinterest, finding drawings that called me, that I like, that feel like my style, which has turned out to be these illustration art. And I try to imitate them and, do my best at drawing and just figuring out how to do it. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing. My major problem with this right now is hand-eye coordination, definitely, and it's also that I can't be a perfectionist, If you can see the screen, I really struggle with drawing. I do things over and over again, and just drawing one straight line is so hard. And yeah, so that I really need to figure out how to accept um, mistakes and imperfections and run with it. I've I've mastered that. Well, not mastered, but I've become okay with that in normal drawing, right? So when I draw on paper, I'm okay with imperfections. I roll with it. I try to hide it later and stuff like that. But in digital art, I still go back to that point where I zoom in and I look at every single imperfection. I'm like, no, this is not right. And I do things over and over again. And you can see on the screen, I just like, I keep checking the same things over, and I do it multiple times until I'm kind of satisfied. And that's a little too much. I spend a lot of time just doing the same things. And if I learn to, just run with the imperfections, that I would have finished this drawing at least a half an hour earlier, because this took me 3 hours, okay? And I spent a lot of time just staring at a screen, and that is not good for me. And you can see yourself too, just how I keep zooming in and I fix the mistakes. It's like, as I was doing it as well, I was like, Samedha, why are you doing this? Can you just run with the imperfections? It's okay. But the major part of my brain is like, no, zoom in, fix those mistakes, fix those tiny mistakes that probably no one else will notice and only you will notice. Just go and fix them right now. And I spent another 20 minutes on those. So yeah, so if you see me do those things, just understand that it's coming from a thing that I'm trying to fix, okay? Other than the digital art, the other hobby I'm trying right now is obviously YouTube. You're here, you can see this new thing which I'm trying. I initially, well, until at least last month, I never thought I would start a YouTube channel, and I kept saying like visual content is not my thing, which is kind of proved by Instagram. If you see, I kind of really suck at Instagram. The photos are very minimal. I used to really go overboard before, but they kind of stressed me out and the numbers got me down. So now I just post whenever I want to and do very simple photos. But basically, visual content is not really my thing. I'm more comfortable with words and just, blogging basically. I'm good at blogging and I stick to that. But I thought, especially a lot of people recently, my friends have been telling, you should start a YouTube channel. You can talk, you're fine on camera, you can do it. And listening to them, I was like, if I am going to say that I'm not good at visual content, that I'm not good at YouTube, might as well say it once I try it once, right? Because without trying, you can't really say if I'm good or bad at something. And I started this channel basically to try out and see, am I really that bad at it? Other than this, I'm not trying anything else new, YouTube and digital art. I started both at around the same time, and they are taking my efforts away from blogging, which I wanted, because I used to blog about 3 times a week. I've been blogging 3 times a week since January of this year. And I say January only because in December I blogged for 27 out of the 31 days, because I was doing Vlogmas and I was blogging, I was posting every single day. And that, I don't know why I did that. I did that for 2 years, and both the years I had finals going on then. Like, why? It's just, I was so, what do you say, excited to be a part of one of the blogging events, and it's quite widespread. People post a ton of Blogmas content and, blog every day. I was like, I can do that. Even I want to be a part of this. And great. During finals, you sit and do that. You're not going to get good marks somehow. Why would you? It's always that I start doing these things and during exams, because my brain kind of needs a balance between academics and creativity, or basically logic and creativity. So because my major is computer science and I need to mostly think for it, or learn random things, being creative kind of balances my brain and my efforts. It's like, giving myself time off. So I need to do both to actually balance myself and, keep my stress levels down. And hence, it's always during exams that I do more blogging, I read more, and I basically do everything more except studying, which is what all the time is for. But instead, I spend it on all of these different things. And at that time, I'm like, yeah, this is fine, this is working out. But only in hindsight do I always think, like, why would I do that? Why can't I just study or find better ways to study, and like not put so much effort into other things which still drains me out, But apparently, I'm that kind of person who does that and just overstresses herself with everything. And yeah, so I've been blogging a lot. And recently, I was like, I need to stop doing it so much, because the main reason it actually occurred to me was because I blog more than a ton of other people do. And considering that it's my hobby, why do I need to spend that much time on it, right? But also, it's because posting 3 times a week is hard for other people to catch up with. Like, even my readers, it's generally like my blog is something that people binge read more than keep up with the posts immediately, because I post a lot. So I started thinking about slowing down because of that. But another reason I really wanted to slow down was because the posts that take me longer to do, that I think about for a week or more, that I slowly write over time, those are the ones that really give me satisfaction. For example, K-drama reviews and discussion posts, like, they really take time. They take at least a week or two. K-drama reviews generally take me 3 days if I work on them continuously and spend hours on them every day. So yeah, but in the end, they're the ones that I'm really proud of in the end. And I wanted to kind of cultivate that. Stop doing things that over short term work out well, but do things that you spend more time on and that give more satisfaction, which is why art, because I used to do art before in until 12th grade or so. I used to draw, I used to sketch. Not much, my talent is not that great, but it was okay and it made me happy. And I used to paint as well, and it was good. My mom used to compliment me a lot, but then she's my mom, so she has to do that. But yeah, it was nice, and it took hours of work, but it worked out. And that's why I wanted to kind of bring that back, because in the end, it's kind of easier to go back to a hobby than find an entirely new one, right? And finding a new one, my mind was just closed up. I was like, okay, what am I gonna do sitting at home? I need to find a hobby that I can do from home, which does not include blogging or social media, and hopefully makes me happy. So art was the easiest one to pick. Other than that one goal of mine to try new hobbies, all my other things were basically to push myself to start new things and go out more and hang out with friends and say yes to plans and make new friends. And we all know how that turned out considering I've been at home since March. It's disappointing, but also I have to say that I feel nice that I can blame the fact that I didn't accomplish these goals on 2020 and the pandemic, and not on my own failure and stubbornness to not work on them. I will work on them eventually. Next year, maybe, if we get out of our houses. But um, at least I got to take off this year and just sit at home and not meet people. It's not been that nice to sit at home because I do miss my friends and I do hang out a lot with my friends. Uh, it's part of the few things that I really like doing, which is hanging out with my friends and going to eat and just having fun and chatting. So that was hard to deal with now that that's not there. But other than that, just every other aspect of going out, which is like random chores, all random things, they're not there now. And that's made me really happy because I'm a homebody. I like to sit at home. So 2020 has been kind of good, kind of bad. It has worked to my comforts a little because, at least compared to people who are used to going out, who are extroverts, I've been doing really well this time sitting at home, right? Because I know how to entertain myself mostly. I don't mind my own space, like, or just my own company. That's fine because most of my hobbies involve just me and not anyone else's involvement. But on the other hand, sharing a space with someone else for an extended period of time is not my strong suit because I grew up mostly having time to myself because both my parents worked and I used to be home alone a lot. And now that my mom's home with me all day long, it is not working out. And I'm barely hanging on to my sanity. But other than that, it's been nice. And it's been especially nice because my reading is going really well. For the past 4 years, okay, ever since I started using Goodreads to track my reading, my reading has been on a decline because as the years go, I have more and more workload and more life priorities and things to do, like college and internship and work and all that. So my reading has been going down every year, the number of books I finish in one year. But and I expected that this year as well because last year I read about 150 books, and this year I had my college plus internship, plus blogging and everything else. I expected to be spending a lot more time going out, yeah. So I thought my reading time will go down, and I kept my goal as 150, assuming I'll hit around 100 to 130. And I actually lowered my goal in February to 100, which was right before the pandemic hit and right before the lockdown. So once lockdown started, my reading picked up like nothing. I started reading 3 books a week, and that was my average. I was like, whoa, I am killing this game. Which is why right now my reading goal, or reading stats are at 138 books, I think. Well, today I finished another, so it should be around 139. I'm going to easily cross last year's goal because of all the reading I've been doing this year, and it's actually been good reading. I've read so many really good books this year. I found new favorites, and one thing that I'm really happy with is the number of challenges I've tried this year because I generally don't try reading challenges and readathons, at least not over a long period of time. It's more like maybe a weekend readathon or something like that. I don't even go for month-long readathons. But this year I started with an annual challenge, which was the Pop Sugar 2020 reading challenge, which has 50 prompts. And my goal was to read one book for every prompt. So that's 50 books out of my entire reading list just dedicated to that. And then I also plan on reading more nonfiction and trying to read more fantasy, which I started letting go of last year because I was reading way more romance than fantasy. And then also read longer books, which kind of intimidate me because, yeah, I started Ever since I started reading shorter books in romance and contemporary, it's been harder to get back to fantasy and longer books. I get intimidated by them, and they also require a lot of brain power. So, if you're stressed or if you're tired, it's not as easy to read those books compared to romance or contemporary, which I just pick up whenever I want and it gives me comfort and I don't need to use my brain and I'm still entertained and I have fun. Malka actually wrote a blog post on it recently. Malka at Paper Procrastinators. She wrote a blog post saying why reading mindless books is so important to me and what those books mean to us as, with stress and everything. They actually help us move on and go on with life. Yeah, it's much more easier to read those books when a ton of things are happening in life otherwise than pick up fantasy and longer books which require brain power. There are people who do, who actually prefer fantasy when their life is stressed out in order to escape, but I am not one of those people because I need more easy books to read than that. So, yeah, that was another goal of mine this year to pick up fantasy and longer books. I've not been doing very good at it, but it's okay. I have been reading a few more fantasy books than normally, especially because I'm joining more readathons, and the readathons are made for fantasy and longer books. So it gives me like a support system of other people reading with me to motivate me to read. Right now, I'm part of two such readathons. One is the Dragon Republic, the Poppy War trilogy readathon. I finished the Dragon Republic earlier this month, and another is City of Brass, which I finished just a few days back. And City of Brass was for this month. The next month is going to be its sequel, and I cannot wait to read that book. Wow, City of Brass was so good. I heard the audiobook for it because I don't have a paperback or an ebook, and the narration was so good. I generally listen to audiobooks when I'm resting my eyes because I work on the computer a lot and my eyes get really strained. So audiobooks are my way of chilling. And City of Brass was mostly used for that. And I remember I was one day my eyes was like really strained and stingy and it was red. So I just was lying down on the sofa and I put the audiobooks in, switched off all the lights, and I couldn't completely rest my eyes because I was so shocked by the turn of events and things that were happening in the book that my eyes would just open and I would, make reactions like, "What? Really? Oh my god." And those are the best books to read. And that's what fantasy kind of gives me. And yeah, that's why City of Brass is one of my best books of 2020. And I cannot wait to read the sequels. I'm really glad that all three books are out so that I don't have to wait for anything. And that's another thing that actually holds me back from picking up series and fantasy books because they're generally not standalones and you have to sit and wait for the next book to come. And I was that person who used to read books as they came out. I don't know why I did that. Why couldn't I just wait? But no, I used to read books as they come out. I will tell you multiple instances. I started this series called House of Night in 7th grade. It totally had 12 books, but when I read it in 7th grade, I think there were about 7 out. So I finished those 6 or 7 books, and I waited every single year for the next book, which means, yes, I waited until 11th or 12th grade. Another such series was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, which I read when book 3 was out. I read the first 3 books and then I waited every single year. Well, how many years was it? Under 4 years? There's 7 books. Yeah, 4 years. I waited 4 years to finish that series. And considering that the series was actually going bad after book 4, going back after book 3. Book 4 was not as great as book 3, and then I hated book 5. Like, oh my god, I hated that book. I was like, why am I reading this series? Ugh. But yeah, I waited every single year to finish that as well. I don't mind that series now that I think of it. I did hate book 5. I still do. I don't like it. Book 7, I just read it in order to be done with the series, and I didn't particularly like it or care about the characters. But book 1 was really nice. Book 2 was quite good too. And book 3 and 4 were okay. Book 5 just tanked everything. But you know what? In between book 5 and book 7, there is book 6, which was Tower of Dawn, I think. And that is set in an entirely different place with different characters and different, completely setting and everything. It was so different from the rest of the series that I liked that one book alone. And I wish we had a series on those characters rather than the main cast, because I liked them much better than the main. And that book also had much more diversity just in terms of people and magical creatures, whereas the main storyline just had like some demons and that's it. Not much diversity or not much interesting things, basically. But yeah, that series marked the end of my waiting for fantasy books time period, because after that I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to read series, I'm not going to wait for books anymore, I am done with that. No cliffhangers. And also the commitment it takes to sit for so many books and actually wait for them is a lot. Another such series that I wouldn't have read, well, another such series that requires a lot of commitment, which I read back when I actually had the patience and the time for it, which I would not have picked up right now, is the Shadowhunters series, which I first read in 10th grade, I think. The Shadowhunters series, I was basically really invested in it because of the world building and the many different types of magical creatures. Because generally, in a lot of fantasy books, there are not more than 3 to 4 magical creatures, but the Shadowhunters series had like 5 to 6 main ones, and then there were also more. And that really intrigued me, and that was a lot of world building, which I really appreciated. But the series itself was like, meh. I didn't like the main 2 characters. I did not like Clary. She was annoying. I did not like Jace. He was also annoying. But other than those 6 books, the 3 books, which was the Infernal Devices, that was quite nice. And I like the Dark Artifices too. But at this point, they are like at least, I would say, 6 plus 6, 12, plus another at least 3 to 4 books here and there, something or the other. So 16 books, yeah, who has the commitment for that and the time for that? That involves a lot of effort, and my current pea-sized brain does not have the patience for it. So I would not have read it if I hadn't read it back then. Well, okay, I actually have more to say, but this video is ending, and I'm actually just starting to, go off on my ramble and have things to say, but apparently my time lapse is ending, so I need to go. But yeah, I think I might do this again because I just really like sitting and talking a lot, which is why my blog posts, which are chatty life updates, really do well and are also my favorite to do because I just get a chat. So yeah, I'll do this again. But until then, I'll see you another time. I hope you liked listening to me chat and watching me draw, which I actually really like doing. I like the end product and I'm quite proud of it. So, yeah, if you'd like to see more of this, let me know. And yeah, I'll see you another time. Goodbye.